Support for this podcast comes from WGU. Do you want a more skilled, loyal, and effective workforce? Consider a partnership with Western Governors University. Over 300 organizations already count on WGU for valuable education benefits. Students can fit schooling around their schedules and even complete courses and degrees sooner than planned. And it's all online. Partner with WGU to make a smart investment in your company's and your employees' future. Learn more at wgu.edu/partnerships.
Empire.
Beal back to Hachimura.
First off, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
It was more just shocking to hear from him and understanding that he gets the most assists from me and the most spoon-fed baskets ever.
You know, the culture is actually damn good.
To sit up there and to say you don't have a culture problem in the nation's capital, everything about the organization points to a culture issue.
One guy took a in another guy's shoe.
I'm a little pissed off about it, but I know how I am. I was kind of expecting it. It's disrespectful.
It was like Eric Killmonger going for total domination. What's up is mine?
We're not going to be fucking sucked this year. We're the Stanley Cup champions! Yeah!
This podcast is all over social media, so follow us on Twitter at Beltway Bro Pod, Instagram at Beltway_sports_bros_podcast. Also the Facebook group, just search Beltway Sports Bros Podcast. And you can also find us at BeltwaySportsBros.com. There's a podcast player right on the front page. If someone you know doesn't want to or know how to download a podcast app or even knows what a podcast is, just tell them to go to the website and hit play. Simple as that. Thank you for joining us today. We are the Beltway Sports Bros. I'm Matt Vazana, and as always, my brother Noel. Hey, Noel, real quick, I just wanted to say something to our beloved audience here. I know I always say this at the end of the show, but I want to say it here before we get started. Please do us a favor and rate and review the show. It's been a while since anybody's rated this thing or reviewed. Great reviews and great ratings, but we do 5 stars are always greatly appreciated. Also, if you have not subscribed or followed, depending on what app you use, please do that. It's a big help. I promise we are not getting rich off this show, contrary to popular belief. So if you do those 3 little things for us, it'll help us with advertisers, and who knows, maybe we could make a few bucks on the side. What do you think, Noel?
Damn, you're sounding like Oliver Twist or something. Might I have more?
Hey, we've been doing this for almost a year here, Yeah. We could use a couple extras.
Little change, sir.
Hey, I could start like a Patreon thing if I wanted to. I'm not asking for much, know?
Yeah, thank you. If you like the show, freaking rate it. Absolutely.
Yeah, please, help us. It's not costing you a thing. It's just costing me my soul. So, you could at least do that. But a little later on, after a week off due to Joel Corey being on the show, which I think was a pretty good substitute for the top 5.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But it's making its illustrious return, so stick around for that a little bit later on the show. But first, Noel, I'm not going to ask you about your weekend because I know your weekend's already set with the NBA All-Star weekend.
All-Star!
No, but it's not the All-Star weekend this year. It's the All-Star Day.
Yeah, I know. It's one of the best weekends of the year. It really is.
I know.
They do it better than anybody. It's one of my favorite weekends. I watch everything on it, beginning to end. No DVR shit, none of that. I love the experience, all the events. It's so great.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's just great. The whole thing's awesome. I mean, honestly, the worst event for me is the slam dunk contest, which ends it. But I watch it anyway. You might see a little bit of gimmicky stuff in it, which might come up a little bit in the top 5 later on. I don't know, but
maybe we shall see. But not sure if anybody cares. But here's a schedule. A little bit of a change than the normal thing, but the skills challenge is starting at 6:30, followed by the 3-point contest, my personal favorite.
Yep.
No Bertans this year, but the All-Star game is at 8, and then at halftime, don't take a piss break or anything because
no intermission.
The slam dunk contest is at halftime, so there you go. A little bit different than normal, and the majority of the guys that are going to be in these things are all-stars, except the slam
dunk contest has 2 rookies and I think a 1-year player. It's got people might not even know who the hell these guys are, to be honest with you. You got Obi Toppin, Anthony Simons, and Cassius Stanley. And Cassius Stanley, this guy can jump out of the damn building, man.
Well, I would hope so.
No, I'm saying they all can, obviously, but
right.
This guy's out of control.
Who's your pick? Is he your pick?
Yeah, he's my pick. All
right.
The good thing about it is, with the slam dunk contest, like I said, it's my least favorite of all of them. But since it's at halftime, they're only doing 2 dunks in the first round, 2 dunks, and then in the final, whoever makes the final, I guess they'll eliminate 1. I'm not really sure. And whoever makes the final only gets 1 dunk. They can't sit there and do like fucking an hour-long slam dunk contest
and jump over them and
taking 15 dunks because they missed the first 14. So that's one positive.
That's the worst.
That's so bad.
It just takes so much of the air out of the building. I mean, there's not going to be anybody in there, but typically when they miss their first dunk, it's just like, and then they miss it again, but then, they hit it the third time, and then everybody's doing the hold back thing on the sidelines. It's like, come on.
Right.
It's not as cool if you don't do it the first time.
No, you should. There should be automatic deductions. Like, each time you miss it, it should be 1 point off, but they'll still give them 10s. Like, we get it. You're trying to jump over, bowl. And you missed it 15 times in a row, so finish it because you have to, but you shouldn't get the good scores. But I'm excited about the
skills challenge.
The skills challenge.
Ugh.
The thing is, like you said, all the players in it are the all-stars, so a lot of guys that wouldn't normally do it are doing it. So you actually get to see a lot of name guys, which I like.
See Bird walk in with the warm-ups.
Oh, that would be beast. Come in with. I bet you that boy can still jack some threes, man. You don't lose that.
No.
The 3-point contest is stacked, man. You've got Devin Booker, Stephen Curry, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Levine, and Donovan Mitchell. That's stacked. Of course, I would like to see the Bertans of the world. He didn't, honestly, the way he shot for the first
didn't deserve it.
90% of the season so far, he didn't deserve it anyway. And there's some guys that definitely did, but I think because of COVID, they wanted to narrow it down and keep the guys in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
And that at least part of it, they shouldn't have done this at all, but at least that part of it makes sense.
Bertans got, second last year?
Yes. He went to the final round. I don't exactly know where he placed in that portion of it, but
I think he was second.
Yeah. And then you get the entree, big game, the main...
The worst part of the All-Star weekend.
The 180 to 170 game.
Until they start playing defense the last 2 minutes of the game.
But Beal is a starter, so we've got that. He got snubbed last year. But the funny thing is, they did the draft. Going back 2 years ago, he made it, and then was the last pick of the draft by the captains, right? Well, this year they had no choice but to pick him for the starting lineup, but he was still picked last.
Poor guy. It doesn't matter if he leads the league in scoring or whatever. He's always going to be like the fat kid at gym class. It's just always going to be the case because he's a wizard.
I don't get it. I don't understand I understand like Durant picked Kyrie Irving because he's on the same team, and I don't know. LeBron does LeBron. He picked Antetokounmpo to start, Giannis at the first pick. I get it. Maybe he shouldn't have been number 1, but really? He was picked last with Tatum, his boy, so they're both going to the same team, and they can give hugs all around. But Durant's
COVID hugs.
Yeah, but Durant isn't playing, so he got the last 2 picks of the starters. So technically he was tied for last, I guess. That's a good thing.
If you look at how they spread it out, though, I mean, Giannis, that's a no-brainer. And then Durant going with Kyrie because he knows him. He's his boy. And then, Stephen Curry at number 3, you need a shooter.
Right.
And then at number 4, Embiid, so you need a big man for Durant. And then you got Luka. I mean, I pick Luka over Beal, too.
Right.
So I don't know. It's
No.
And then Kawhi, it's a fucking stacked lineup if you look at it.
They're all great. I'm not denying that at all. It's just... what
does the guy have to do?
Gosh. And he was watching.
Oh, yeah. He's like,
he was watching. Like, really, guys? And Tatum wasn't
his
even...
wife was.
Oh, absolutely.
I wonder what she's tweeted. God only knows since we've been doing this show.
Yeah. Give my man respect or some shit like that. But, yeah, and he was picked with a guy that wasn't even supposed to be a starter as the last pick because Durant's not playing. So, I don't know. Whatever. Hey. He's a starter. He's going to play. I hope he does well. And if I were him, I'd just go out there and just gun like crazy. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Everybody else does. He's been to the All-Star game before. All right? This isn't his first rodeo. He doesn't have to take a backseat to anybody. He's a starter. I would go out there and just run it and try to win the damn MVP. He'd need to score like 50 to get the MVP because they'll give it to the captains, LeBron or Durant or some more known guy. But
I don't think Durant will be winning it this year.
Yeah, no, I know. But they give it to those known guys, right?
Yeah, I know.
They give them out like candy. So I just hope he has a good performance and just doesn't get that rap of high volume points on a shitty team.
Well, the problem with him is he's not flashy, which doesn't bode well for him in the All-Star game. He hits outside shots, threes, he's kind of shifty, but he's not going to have those like LeBron power dunks and shit. You know what I mean? He can dunk, don't get me wrong, but he's not going to, blow the roof off the place type of thing. He's just going to do his thing.
I think the one positive of having it one day for him is they're not having like the full all-star experience where he's sitting on the bench with the guys. They're just like, boom, going into a game. So he just has the opportunity to like, all right, well, we weren't in Vegas all weekend and playing it up, so I don't have to be as nice because we're kind of just jumping onto the court together. So for me, I'd go out there and try to just kick ass. To hell with it. You wanted me last? Obviously, you don't want me that bad. All these trade rumors and shit, nobody wants me that bad.
He always needs that motivation,
Always does. Well, it's fun. I wish it was a whole weekend, and we did have a previous show where we criticized them having it all, but I'll be front and center, man. I love it.
It's here. All right, moving on to everyone's favorite Washington football team wideout, Terry McLaurin. Now, he might even be more beloved by this fan base if that's possible. So let me explain. It came out last night from his interview with Jim Rome. Apparently, he still has a show. I didn't know that.
Is it burning?
He's not burning anymore.
Is Jim Everett still going on his show to like get him some ratings every once in a while?
I was going to say Chris Everett was a long time ago. But anyway, he told Rome that he was dealing with not one, but 2 high ankle sprains on both legs.
Damn.
Simultaneously. Unbelievable. You may remember that he missed only 1 week, which was week 16, which is incredible by itself for somebody with just 1 high ankle sprain. But the fact that he had 2, it's outrageous. Usually that's like a 3 to 5 week injury for most people on 1 bad leg. So there's a couple quotes from the Rome show that I'll throw out, but because he saw what Alex Smith and Rivera overcame throughout the season and obviously prior to that, he said, quote, "I didn't really use that as an excuse. I had plenty of examples around my building to not use certain things or ailments, things you were going through as an excuse." McLaurin continued, "My only thought was to get back and produce, even if it was just to take a little pressure off our other skill players to get them some clearer looks. I was willing to do that." End quote. This guy's incredible. He just keeps outdoing himself. I feel like he's going to have like, I don't know, people in his basement or something, like hidden in his basement.
Jeez.
I don't know.
Oh, like there has to be something wrong with him.
He's too squeaky clean.
No, the guy's such a consummate professional. We've always said it. He's wise beyond his years. And it's just one more notch.
How the fuck do you play on 2 high ankle sprains?
Drugs.
And then take one. Right. I mean, what was he doing? He's a junkie. There you go. That's what it is. No, but really though, how badly does this highlight how this team needs another receiver?
Yeah. You cannot waste these years with him. Obviously, he's in his 2nd year. You're not wasting anything. But my point is that he's on a rookie deal. By the time that ends, if he continues this ascension up to being one of the top receivers in the league, which I think that he can be, he's going to ask for a lot of money. This is the time to get another guy in and to alleviate some of the pressure off of him and to bring out the best in him, because it will. And that's what I was saying before, the Allen Robinsons and guys like that. It's imperative that you bring another guy, another side piece for him. He is this offense, regardless. Mm-hmm. We could talk about quarterbacks are the most important. Right now, he is the guy. Their most talented guy, their diamond in the rough that they found. He's their Bradley Beal offensively.
He's consistent, professional, does you know what you're going to get when he gets out there. If he gets the ball thrown to him, he's going to catch it. I personally think, and not just because of this, but overall, after year 3, they need to start talking a new contract with him.
Yep.
Obviously, he's a 3rd-round pick, so they don't get the extra year. Yeah. And pay him what he's worth. The guy's getting paid like maybe $1 million a year. I mean, obviously, most would kill for that.
The character on this guy, he's getting paid dirt. He doesn't know who's playing quarterback on a week-to-week basis. He goes out there and he produces. He's playing on 2 high ankle sprains. He could have just said, you know what? And most people would. Shit, I probably would. I'd be like, look, guys, I need a couple weeks off. I mean, I'm making $1 million here.
Yeah.
And for him to just bust it through, and I admire the guy.
And there'd be a lot of guys, there'd be jealousy if another guy comes in that's making 15 times what he's making, even though he could technically still be the first wide receiver on the depth chart. But I don't see him as being a jealous guy. He knows his time's going to come, but that's why they have to get in front of it and pay him before his rookie contract ends. Show him that they appreciate what he's done for the franchise and they know that he's got a future with him.
Pay that man his money from from Rounders. Whatever.
Yes, the Russian guy.
Yeah. Malkovich.
Yeah, Malkovich.
And again, don't waste the opportunity with this guy. Get him a QB and get him another receiver. For him. This offense needs it, of course, but for him, bring him in. Everybody knows he's the best guy, like I said, and treat him like that. Get him what he needs.
Nothing but love for Terry McLaurin there.
Nothing but love, man. Something good came out of Ohio State for this team. Well, we got two.
We got two,
man. Hey.
Do you think anybody, as a Washington fan, dislikes McLaurin in any way? Like, is there anything to dislike? I mean, you have to be a sick person to say, like,
I don't know. Somebody probably says, like, he's fake or some shit.
Something like that.
Yeah, some crap. Like you first said, that this guy's too clean. There's got to be something. Like, there's got to be some underlying thing. Just, I don't know if he has a girlfriend. I don't know what his backstory is with his private life. But please, don't get, like, Beal's wife or Russell Wilson's wife. Don't get some crazy bitch. Just because you're a nice person doesn't mean you have to have a yin to the yang and get some crazy woman that, like, if he ain't gonna talk, I am. Like, I'll talk for him. He ain't like that, I'm gonna be. No, just find a nice girl, settle down, and have some nice kids.
Yeah.
And don't tweet.
I don't think he really does. I follow him.
So
he
far,
doesn't do
so
much.
good. So far, so good.
Obviously, his experience did not rub off on Dwayne Haskins, so he just taught him the playbook. But,
right.
And he still didn't pick it up. Anyway, all right. Staying with the Washington football team, this is some interesting news here, but in what has existed in over 50 years, the Washington cheerleaders, Redskinettes, they used to be called, I believe. Is that right?
That changed to the Redskins cheerleading team, and now I don't know what the hell.
So many iterations of the team, but which of course used to consist of all females. It's now going to be replaced with a co-ed dance team. This was one of the first orders of business for the team's new senior advisor, Petra Pope, because her role is focused on creating a, quote, more modern franchise. Pope said, quote, "Change can be extremely difficult. I appreciate the passion that the ladies have and can relate to that passion because I've been a mentor for thousands of dancers over my career. As we progress to a reimagined era, the choreography will be much more athletic. We welcome the dancers of the past to audition, and if they have that skill set, they're welcome to join us." All right, so the poor former Washington, I guess they were never Washington. No, there was a couple cheerleaders in the empty stadium.
Yeah, they were up in the stands, like waving their pom-poms from the seats.
Yeah, right.
They panned over every once in a while, like in between the cardboard cutouts. Yeah. You think they made cutouts of like gawking guys? Like, damn, like that damn face.
You think Larry Michael was a cutout on that? Give me his bulging eyes.
They put a bubble next to him. Give me the good bits.
So a couple things here. I could care less about this. I know everyone's going to say it's the cancel culture thing ruining everything again, but in context with this franchise, they're trying to wipe away the sins of the past in any way that they can. These guys made, obviously, as you mentioned, the good bits. They allegedly, the nude cheerleader video thing for the owner, among others, but mainly for Dan Snyder. True or not, it's public perception, right? And if it helps rebuild this franchise's image, good for them. Whatever.
So are the male cheerleaders that they bring in, or whatever the hell you call them, going to be a buffer zone and protect them? What are they, bouncers? I mean, you're either going to harass them or you're not, right?
Well, they'll probably stop doing the Jamaica trips and things like that for the calendars.
Sure.
Even if they didn't have males there, I don't think they were going to do that anymore.
Are the male cheerleaders going to be able to talk to the female cheerleaders? Because, they had that protocol that the players weren't allowed to talk to the cheerleaders. Are they going to be able to speak?
I don't think they're going to want to, Noel.
Are they going to make sure they got to be careful where they put their hands when they prop them up above their shoulders?
They'll be of proper sexuality.
There we go. They're going to have to wear gloves and a blindfold in case when they lift them up, they won't look under the skirt.
But the Wizards, they've had this male-female dance team for a few years now. I mean, I was kind of shocked when I saw that the first time. I was like, oh, all right. They didn't even mention it. All of a sudden, they had guys flipping around and shit.
Yeah. Y'all ready for this? Dun, 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 dun. All of a sudden, these geeks are coming out like, yeah, come on, Wiz. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing out here?
Colleges have always been.
Well, I know why the college
co-ed.
guy cheerleaders do it.
Well, yes, absolutely.
There's no buffer zone there.
No.
I've heard stories.
Yeah. Oh, yeah? Were you a male cheerleader?
No, but Corey was.
Was he? I didn't know that. From Maryland?
Corey was, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he has some stories.
This is the first time hearing about this.
But this thing is, I really don't give a shit.
No, me either.
I really don't. I'm to the point now where I'm not some gawking teenager at a freaking football game or anything like that. Like every once in a while peeking over, like giving my nudge to my friends.
I remember back in RFK when I kind of didn't really care about the games. I take the binoculars and I just stare at the cheerleaders.
Wow.
Yeah. For quite some time.
How old were you?
Probably 8. I don't know.
You were 8? Dang,
yeah.
you were ahead of your
I know
time
what I'm
there.
doing. I know what I'm
Jeez, 8. Dang.
Internet was not accessible back then, Noel. I had to work with what I had.
Right.
You keep it in the old memory bank.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't bring cameras and stuff. Jeez.
Yeah.
I guess Washington's the Trailblazers, man. They're the California of the NFL.
Yeah.
They're just the Trailblazers, and they're woke.
They're woke.
I guess is what it is. But hey, I think that one thing has absolutely nothing to do with the other. I understand that there is harassment and there is investigations happening. I don't see what one thing has to do with the other. It's about an organizational change that needs to take place to say this is not acceptable, and you don't need to change the format completely. Women get scholarships to be cheerleaders. Women like to be cheerleaders. They want to be cheerleaders. But yes, they don't need to be harassed. They don't need to have pictures taken of them under towels and things like that. But bringing male cheerleaders in doesn't change that. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So
it's just going to affect the number of female cheerleaders that are going to be on the team, if nothing else.
Exactly.
It's just going to make some cuts.
This is just another national gimmick, a national promotion to say, hey, we're turning a new page. We see what you see to whoever is saying they see it.
It's all about public perception.
Yeah.
And if any team had to do it, though, it would be this team for what happened. And, I don't give a shit. Who cares? The cheerleaders are so inconsequential.
Yeah.
And truth be told, if we're up to the networks, they only show the ugly ones anyway. So
watch the World Cup. Remember the criticism that the World Cup gets is because, most of the time you're using an international feed, right? All these different locations are using international feeds, and they'll always pan to the crowd to find like that girl in the cutoff tee and like the Italian national jersey that is like a bikini top.
Always,
they always do those. So
sex sells.
I mean, what are we going to do then when the World Cup comes around or the Euro comes around? Or are they going to blur it? We can't get away from it. There are attractive women in the world. There are women that have enhancements that people might look at. Mm-hmm. We can't just blur everything out. We can't just change our eyes to everything. So, hey, in this case, if it's an easy out for them to look good after all the shit that Washington's been through, but everybody knows why they're doing it. Nobody thinks that this is for the greater good or because this is the right thing to do. They're doing it for damage control, and if it helps in the eyes of some people, I guess it's the way to go. Me personally, I don't give a shit either way.
Me either. Anyway, just thought I'd mention it.
Yeah.
Support for this podcast comes from CDW and Dell Technologies. At CDW, we get new work environments can bring new distractions.
My kitchen is my new office. It's also home to our new family smoothie machine.
While CDW experts can pre-configure Dell Latitude 9000 series laptops with built-in AI that learns how users work to minimize disruptions and help you and your organization stay productive. Ooh, even when life gets messy.
I'll get the hose.
For technology that helps you adapt, trust Dell Technologies and IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Learn more at cdw.com/Dell Client.
Support for this podcast comes from Wild Turkey Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Let's tune in to their one-on-one with Jamal, a real bartender from Old Fourth Ward in Atlanta.
I really get into the backstory of whatever I'm pouring, out of respect. There are literally years of experience behind these bottles. Wild Turkey, same recipe since 1942. If you want a true classic, this is what you want to order.
Wild Turkey. Wild Turkey Distilling Company, Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. Copyright 2020, Campari American, New York, New York. Never compromise, drink responsibly.
All right, well, I guess it's time for the top 5. You ready for it, Noel?
Let's do it!
So on today's installment of this Top 5 Friday, we are going over our lists of worst sports gimmicks.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the cheerleader thing, it has a little gimmicky thing to it. It has a little underlying reason why people do things. So I think that doing like gimmicks or shitty promotions that you think that can entice that 1%, hey.
Mm-hmm. Get a little extra change. Get people to the old ballpark.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
exactly. Entice people. And these are ones that are just really bad and should have never happened.
Dumb as shit. So hopefully you enjoy it. Let's start with number 5. Go for it, Noel.
All right. So number 5. This one's a little bit old school. This is back in the 70s. They would still promote drinking, and drinking was fun. But the Cleveland Indians took this to the umpteenth level. They were doing a promo of 10-cent beer night.
Okay.
Man, that would have been a blast. But, of course, as humans are, 10-cent beer night, how many would you drink, Matt? In 9 innings? You kidding me?
We had nickel beer night at USF.
Oh, man.
Every
nickel
Thursday.
Beer. Woo. We had drinking with Lincoln. You kidding me? I mean, they didn't even give cups anymore. They would just give you a whole damn pitcher. They were like, we're not going to sit here and pour little cups.
We bring the roll of
I mean, they're like, whatever. Nickels. It was just a name at that point.
No, like the way it worked at our bar, you could only get a max of 20 at a time. So they didn't give you pitchers. They just lined up 20 beers in front of you. They got a little warm by the end.
This was Terrapin Station.
Yeah.
And they'd start out with cups, but as soon as the place would get packed, they just give you a pitcher. They just said, hell, I mean, people pissing in the corners. The place was so packed. It was disgusting, but you drank for free. We digress. Getting back to the Indians, which they're still called that.
Are they?
Yeah. They sold over more than 60,000 beers.
Jesus Christ.
To the point that they were beating the shit out of the freaking opponents. I mean, it was ridiculous. So the whole thing got completely out of control. They had to forfeit the game. I think this was in like 74 or something like that. Craziness, but bad promo. Whoever thought about that, people weren't going to drink themselves almost to death. Imagine over the intercom on this thing, like, please drink responsibly and drive safely.
In the 70s. They'd have seatbelts.
I know, right?
It's a good promotion for the Indians, right? You would assume.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it got people in the house. That's for sure. I would have gone.
Well, I'm referring to how they're known.
Oh, my God. Really? Really? I think they're more in the hard stuff, the liquor.
Well, that's the best they could do. All right,
okay.
I'm totally kidding, everyone. That was wrong. All right, so my number 5 is the Fox glowing puck in the NHL, if you remember this. So back in 1996, I thought I'd quote this commercial, and I could only imagine how, with that Fox guy, that deep voice. On January 20th, you will witness the biggest technological breakthrough in the history of sports. It was the glowing blue puck.
Wow. That's in the history of sports, huh?
History of sports.
The history of sports. It's up where with the moon launch.
I remember they really built this thing up, and I was like, I got to see this thing. What are they talking about?
I watched it for 5 minutes, and I said, this is stupid.
It was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah. And the technology wasn't even that good. That's the thing. It wasn't like now where it might look better now, but it would suide off of the, it was just such
it was huge
a gimmick.
Too. And then it would come through the wall, so you could kind of see it. So dumb. But the big thing was, though, if you remember, the red tail. When the puck hit 70-plus miles an hour.
Yeah, it was so dumb.
It was a little added bonus to the glowing blue puck, I guess.
Yeah, the NHL, I mean, they were just, at that point in time, they were really trying to...
They were grasping at straws.
And Fox always tries to find a gimmick to get it sparked, because Fox will destroy any sport except for the NFL.
Well, but nobody can destroy the NFL.
And nobody
ESPN has done everything in their power to do that, but it's almost impossible. But the thing that was funny, though, in my research for this top 5, because these pucks were actually pretty expensive, they only had 15 pucks, right? So normally an NHL game has 35 to 40. If they ran out of pucks, they didn't know what to do.
So did they go into the stands and get them back?
Yeah, they did a lot of things to make sure because there's only 15.
That is the dumbest thing. I had no idea that's what. I thought maybe they just had like a small tracker on it or something, and I didn't know that they were so valuable.
1996, like they didn't have this technology. It was like some magnet or something that was in it, and you could only see it on TV. Obviously, you couldn't see it when you were playing.
Sure.
Yeah, they
imagine seeing it when you this glowing blue thing.
What is this?
They just put a huge LED light on it, if they even had LED back then.
I don't believe so. No, not 96. But so that's that. It's a little piece of info there.
No, thank you. I learned something new today.
No problem. One other thing, they got rid of it because of the cost, because it was getting so ridiculous, not because of people thought it was stupid. Actually, in my research, people still love it. The majority of the things that I saw in it, it was all positive.
Wow. Idiots. I thought it was the dumbest thing I had ever seen.
It was really dumb. What's your number 4, Noel?
Number 4 is, this is a minor league baseball team. You could make a list of minor league baseball gimmicks and promos that is 100 long, and they still don't get shit for fans. This one is the West Michigan Whitecaps, again, a minor league baseball team, the Cash Drop Night. This one is kind of an okay promotion, just ended up disastrous, and you wouldn't see why it wouldn't. So basically what ended up happening was they took kids from like 5 to 12 years old at an intermission during the game. Probably, I think it was a 7th inning stretch or something like that. And they lined the kids up from, again, ages 5 to 12 out in the outfield at the wall. And because the field was Fifth Third Ballpark, a bank, they had a helicopter fly over and drop money, $1,000. As a promo. So, and they tell the kids, go! Like, to go run for the money? Okay.
But the adults bust. Is that what happened?
Well, the kids proceed to trample each other.
Of course.
I would. But it was like women in a bride's shop. So these two poor 7-year-olds get trampled and are hospitalized.
Jesus Christ.
They didn't die or anything. They were fine. Good. But that was, they were like, holy shit, what did we do here? I mean, this mob of kids are going after this money raining down onto the field.
What did they think was going to happen?
Exactly. Well, what makes it even funnier is, I guess this Katie Croft, a club representative, says, it's for fun and games. This is why we have everybody sign waivers.
Oh. That's not cold at all.
No.
While the kids are sitting in the hospital.
Yeah.
On life support.
Hey, there are some things in theory might be pretty good, like male cheerleaders. But in this case, 2 kids ended up hospitalized. So good job.
Nicely done. All right. So my number 4 is the XFL. You know the XFL, Noel, but not the second iteration, the first.
I thought this was going to be kind of a negative list.
Oh, it is.
Oh. I didn't know you could do that.
I can pick some negative things out of the XFL.
You're not under contract with them anymore?
No.
Okay.
I don't think anybody is. It was the Scramble. If you guys remember this, in 2000, tried to market itself, as the crazy hardcore version of the NFL, whatever. So instead of a coin toss to decide the possession, which is standard in pretty much any sport, the XFL had 2 players sprint for a loose ball at midfield to, I guess, earn the possession, which I don't know why anybody would even care.
Like, why not just do Oklahoma drills and be done with it?
This is worse.
Yeah.
If you can imagine, I'm sure a lot of you can remember this, but if you don't, they'd put the ball down in the middle of the field, and basically 2 guys from opposing teams would run and basically try to grab the ball first on the ground.
Yeah,
so
like
basically
a fumble.
like a fumble.
Yeah.
So I guess, it was a way to pump up the crowd, show how violent they were, whatever. But on the very first week of the XFL, this was Orlando Rage, that franchise, safety Hassan Shamsid Dean, he separated his shoulder on the first play before ever playing an actual down of football.
On a play nobody gives a shit about, the coin toss. Because we're extreme.
Hey, X does not mean extreme, Noel. It means whatever you want, But in this case, yes. Even at that time, and I was like junior in high school, whatever, I thought that was the dumbest shit ever. I was like, somebody's absolutely going to get hurt doing this.
Yeah, to hell with concussion protocol. I mean, 2 guys bashed their heads
they wore helmets in that.
Right? Jeez. Why not just have them walk 6 paces and turn and shoot?
amazingly enough, they didn't stop doing it.
No,
they kept
I know
doing
they
it
didn't.
throughout the entire season.
Didn't. The XFL had some innovations. They had some good ones that are still used to this day. But that one, what did you think was going to come of that?
I think in a way they were hoping somebody got hurt.
Oh, I'm sure.
Then they did.
And they did. Good job. Good job,
on NBC,
Vince.
nationwide television. All right, moving on. What's your number?
My number 3 is the 3-point line. And no, I'm not talking about the current 3-point line that we have in the league.
I would hope not.
I am talking about from, I think it was 94 to 97, so it was like 2 seasons. They moved the 3-point line into 22 feet. So just everybody knows, the current 3-point line and the 3-point line before that was 23 feet 9 inches. So they moved it in basically closer to gain more points because everybody loves the long ball, so let's get more threes in the game. Well, it ended up becoming a disaster. You got guys that could hit the broadside of a barn, bombing threes away, and it was awful. Like, for example, Jordan. This guy shot career 30%. In those 2 seasons, he hit 41 and 42%. And ironically enough, they wanted the points to go up, which the seasons before that, it was at 105. The points went down to almost 100.
Because guys who can't shoot threes started shooting threes.
Exactly. So it was the start of, I guess, the big that could shoot threes, but it was way ahead of its time. So they scrapped that in a heartbeat.
Honestly, I totally forgot that they did that. That was a dark time.
It was awful. When I saw that happen, I'm like, why? Those were some dark days, man. You saw guys coming out of the woodwork. It was bad.
And now they need to move the 3 back. It's too close.
Well, shit, at one point they were talking about a 4-pointer. I mean, what is this?
The XBA?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, God. Right? Yeah, Vince, take care of it. Revolutionize basketball. But thank goodness they put it back to where it was. And now guys are shooting from the moon.
Yeah.
Hey, but at least there's respect at 23 and 9.
Agreed. All right, so moving on to my number 3. It is the Hagerstown Suns minor league team, if you're familiar with that, Hagerstown, Maryland. It's not just that it's a local team, it's that it's friggin' hilarious. It's they ran a pre-planned funeral night. I have no idea why anybody would ever consider this, but back in 2003, the Hagerstown Suns hosted, as I said, they're called the pre-planned funeral night, which offered one lucky fan a funeral package worth $6,500. What did that include? The lucky fan got all of it. Everything you could ask for when it comes to
the premium package.
Casket, embalming, use of the funeral home, and even a death certificate.
No tombstone or location? I mean, what's wrong with them?
Well, the funeral home's a location.
No, I'm saying, where are you burying the person?
Most funeral homes, don't they have...
I don't know.
It's best not to think about it, but...
They were.
But to run a promotion to bring people in, shit. How did you win that? Was it a drawing? I don't know that portion.
There was a large amount of old people that went to that game?
I mean, I would assume so.
I mean, you would think, hey, if you're a good grandmother or a good grandfather, you would think you would have gone above and beyond to be at that fucking game.
Yeah.
Why should it be my expenditure?
$6,500 is a lot of money.
I mean, think of your grandkids. Think of your sons and your daughters that they have to have that expenditure on them. You go to that Hagerstown game, I don't give a damn if it's in the snow. You go there and you get that.
They should have done it like where they dropped the money, but they put like the tickets for the old people, like like whoever grabs the tickets. Right?
You know what would have been awesome if they had a casket and they had the raffle tickets inside, and they made the old people dig in it to try to find like the golden ticket. What are these? What the hell's wrong with these people? Who comes up with this shit?
I don't know. These minor league, they come up with the craziest shit.
They do.
That's definitely up there.
That's up there, man.
That's yeah. All right. Well, what's your number 2, Noel?
That was my numero dos. That was my number 2. That's why I knew. I was ready for it.
I was going to say, you were talking a lot about it. You didn't seem surprised at all.
As soon as you started and you said funeral, I'm like, oh. And I thought when I saw it, I'm like, come on, there has to be something else to this. This has to be a joke point. Yeah. And I kept reading it. I'm like, wow, embalmment, this whole thing. I'm like, mummifications. I'm like, geez, oh, flip. Are they for real?
Cremations are not a part of the
No.
package.
Too controversial, too.
Oh, it's too controversial.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to go with the masses, Matt.
Right. All right. So my number 2 is LA Dodgers ball night. So in 1995, the LA Dodgers decided to run a baseball night promotion for their fans in attendance, like bat night and hat night and all that shit. So the team was really bad that year. So I guess they were, in this particular game, they were playing the Cardinals. They were getting their asses kicked, and the fans thought it'd be a good idea to use their free baseballs as weapons towards the opposing Cardinals players. So they were warned, the fans, were warned 3 times. They actually gave them 3 warnings for using these baseballs as weapons against
Strike 3 and you're out.
Yeah. Hey, it works every time, So then the Dodgers were actually forced to forfeit the game. And that was actually the first time it happened in 40 years in the National League. I don't think giving fans baseballs is a good idea anyway, because then if you have, nickel beer day at the same time, God only knows what could happen.
Well, shit, I guess like the Eagles when they put batteries in snowballs and were throwing them down in the field. At least they got creative with it and brought their own batteries. You actually gave them a weapon.
Right. The whole stadium.
Yeah, the whole stadium a weapon. Just raining down. Remember when Washington beat Atlanta and they're throwing the seat cushions? No, this was balls, son.
This actually reminded me of The Simpsons when Marge had the pretzel wagon.
And here come the pretzels.
You need to taste the pretzel. This is a dark day for baseball because the manager was out because of the pretzels.
Yeah, he was knocked out. It's so funny.
Look it up if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
All right, so what's your number 1, Noel? We're finally there.
All right, so my number 1, you thought that the funeral night one was crazy. You thought the other ones were, but this is why this is my number 1. The weirdest one you can possibly think of.
Okay. I don't know how it can beat the funeral one, but
it does.
Give it a shot.
It does.
Right.
It's messed up. Charleston River Dogs vasectomy night.
Okay.
Now, it's real. It's real. Okay?
Well, let's hear it.
The premise of it was going to be a promo on a Father's Day game. Mm-hmm. So the lucky dad, I guess, said, okay, the lucky winner of this raffle, if they haven't had one already, I guess, gets honored with a vasectomy, so you don't have to have any more multiple Father's Days, I guess.
Hey, I'm down with that. I could totally get behind that one.
And it wasn't because it was so messed up that anybody would think of a vasectomy day or night as a good idea. This bishop comes out, David Thompson, and says that this is distasteful based on a religious sense because you're preventing reproduction.
Right. Makes sense.
That's why they stopped it, because it never came to fruition. Not because it's insane that you would promote something like this. It's because the bishop, who's a season ticket holder, said, no, this isn't, Catholic.
It's amazing. What do these minor league baseball people do? Do they sit around like a conference table? There's just this think tank to get people into the stadium, and nobody said this is probably a bad idea.
Like in the Burns one, you're all a bunch of yes men.
But especially in this one, what if something goes wrong with the vasectomy?
Right.
It could possibly be, they got me a shitty doctor and he fucked me. You know what I mean?
Maybe they have to sign that waiver like the kids did when they got trampled.
If you die.
You sat down and you thought that this would be okay. What did you have, a friend that was a doctor, and you said, hey man, you hook me up, I'll hook you up?
I'll get you some free ticks to the Charleston Chew team, or whatever the hell they're called. He's like, thanks, but no thanks, buddy.
And let's say they did it. We're sitting there, we go to the game with the kids. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden the camera pans over and says, seat 135. You are the winner of a vasectomy.
Seat 0001. Yeah. See Montgomery Burns.
Right. The camera pans over to you and you're like, okay.
Like tip of the cap.
Yeah, thanks. It's so weird.
It's so weird. I don't know. Like you said, we could do a full top 5 of weird minor league baseball ones.
Look them up. Look at the minor league promos. Some of them are insane.
Well, since they don't pay the players anything, they can, afford vasectomies.
Right. The players should get vasectomies because they can't afford to have kids.
That's for sure. All right. Well, I'm going to move on to my number 1, if that's all right with you, Noel.
Go for it, man.
All right.
Top that one.
I think you'll appreciate this one.
Okay.
So mine is the 2010 World Cup that was in South Africa. The Vuvuzelas. This was the bane of my existence, and I know yours too. And I'm amazed it's not on your list.
That's an awesome one. Honestly, it totally slipped. There were such insane ones that definitely would have made my list, though. That's a really good one.
Hey, thanks. This one is specifically bad, though, because it completely ruined my World Cup experience from watching on television, but it also ruined the people's experience that were there. So, oh my God, it was horrible.
Can we do the whole show like this, Matt? Matt, talk for a little bit. See, continue your point.
Hey, Noel, how's it going? I don't know if anybody remembers this, but it was in every fucking game.
Oh my God. There was so many, it sounded like fucking locusts.
Yes, but through 90 minutes of a game. So, I don't know if you know this or not. Again, did a little research on a vuvuzela and what the historical representation of it is, but it was used to summon distant villagers to attend community gatherings. So if you can understand, distant, to gather distant villagers, not for people that are, 2 feet in front of you so you can blow out their fucking eardrums.
Oh, so they didn't have like 90,000 villagers doing them all at the same time?
No, not typically. It was like one and said, okay, other village.
One. They had one in the village and they had like the one guy that did it.
Yeah, let's go eat, Like the triangle, like ding, ding, dinner time. Yeah. And you couldn't tell from watching it on TV, but the average sound exposure during a game at the World Cup was 100.5 decibels on an open stadium. If you remember when we saw Hogan back in the Capitol Center, what was the decibel level there?
That
was like in the 90s?
98. It was out of control. And that was an enclosed, at the USA Arena. Right.
Capitol Center at the time. It was the USA Arena? Whatever. It was back in Hogan's heyday, and it was the loudest thing I think we've ever heard.
That was insane. But this...
The peak decibel level, though, listen to this, was 144.2. There was actually a scientist who did some kind of deep research into this, and that's insanely high. If they're beating out Hogan, it's high.
And that's a good point. And the thing is, Matt, it wasn't just like these people were bringing them on their own. They were giving them out like candy. The World Cup initially, they didn't want to have them there because they knew that this is like going to a freaking NASCAR race if they have these things in there.
And that's kind of what it sounded like. It was like when they were crawling. Yeah.
And they wanted to ban them, and South Africa fought tooth and nail to have them in there. So they had them, and I could only imagine. You thought the Lino shit that we talked about before about Italia was bad.
Imagine having by 100,000 people.
Yeah, imagine him having one of those fucking things. I would have shoved that down his throat.
But the decibel thing, it actually caused a permanent hearing loss for a lot of people. Throughout a 90-minute period, it actually did for many, many viewers of the World Cup. So
about 3 games in to hearing that shit, I wish it had done that to me on the TV. So sure,
but they did actually, if you notice throughout the World Cup, started to lower the crowd.
Yeah.
Because people were like, this is insane.
Yeah, this is stupid.
It was unwatchable.
This is dumb.
It was in my nightmares for a little while. It was the worst. And if you don't know what we're talking about, go listen to it.
Well, that World Cup is still in Italy's nightmares because they sucked in that one. It was, and I'll blame the vuvuzelas for it.
There you go. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We're on all major podcast platforms. Please rate, review, and subscribe. If you like this show, please share it on social media. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, the Facebook group, and our website, BeltwaySportsBros.com. Thanks again for listening, and hope you guys have a great weekend. Hey, enjoy the All-Star Day.
Hell yeah.